Welcome to Therapy Facts with Dr. Jenn. Today we are talking about the therapy facts from the Diddy Cassie video. So, we talked about domestic violence, what it is, who it impacts, and why people stay, right? This video, which is point 2, we're going to talk about what family members can do. There is nothing more frustrating than being a family member or a loved one of someone who is in a domestic violence relationship, whether they're the perpetrator or the victim. Most of the time, we talk about victims in terms of helping victims to get free of the situation, and then we talk about consequences to include legal consequences as well as therapy for the perpetrators who are in the domestic violence situation. In this video, we're going to talk about what family members and loved ones can do for the victim. So, the first thing family members or a loving village can do for its women is to ensure that everyone is aware of the subtle tactics that people who want to control someone will use in order to gain that control. So it's important that the teenage and young women are aware of the isolation, the hyper jealousy, and the various subtle techniques that a person will use to convey to the person, hey, I essentially want you all to myself. It is important to talk to your women about how it should be a conversation. How do we counter such tactics? How do we stand up for ourselves if we want to remain in these relationships where someone attacks our confidence or tries to undermine our self-image or self-esteem? How to recognize when those things are happening and what to say and then what to do. It's easy to say that, oh, you don't need to be with someone who would do that, right? But if you're in love and you think your partner is in love, it may be hard to hear that. It may be hard to hear that from your auntie or your grandma, that you need to leave your good thing because he calls you ugly every now and then, right? So, how do you keep the conversation going so that when these type of things happen, it's not the first time that your young women or your women have heard these? And so talk about those tactics. The next thing to do is share experience. I don't know a lot of women above the age of 30 or 40 years old who have not had some brush or some experience with domestic violence, either subtle tactics all the way up to the more overt tactics. So share your experiences. It's amazing what hearing another person's experience, and especially a credible member of the village, it's amazing what hearing your experience was, especially if it included you not, if your experience included you not necessarily understanding or knowing that you were being victimized. And if it was an experience that also included you getting deep, becoming deep into the situation and having to flee for your life, being able to share personal experience will go much farther than just giving out one-sided advice. And then the next thing to do is to talk about domestic violence as the very common, relatively common. I won't say that everybody's is having an experience, but because it is possible for anybody to have the experience, including men and women, talk about the domestic violence resources that are available in one's community and even online as a matter of common conversation. So that again, if somebody finds themselves in need of those resources under duress, they know where to go. Not treating domestic violence as if it only happens to celebrities or people in certain categories. Treat it as what it is, that it happens very commonly in all spaces. The next thing to do for the women in your village is to ensure that they know that you are a ready and consistent and available emotional resource for whatever they might be experiencing. So if they find themselves in a harrowing domestic violence situation, they know they can reach out to you. They know they can reach out to the village, members of the village, either individually or collectively, to say, hey, help. I'm in this situation and I might not even know how I got here, but I know I need to get out. And so rather than making the person feel more belittled or more embarrassed by demanding that they should make a particular move at a particular time, just allowing them to know that, hey, I am here for you. The village is here for you and whatever you need. And we will allow you to take the lead in deciding what types of help you want and when. Because domestic violence is an issue or phenomenon that's typically, as I said, wrapped up in the syrupy sweetness of love and desire and relationship. Wanting to leave, needing to leave is not often the primary catalyst for leaving. So as the loving village member, family member who is just torn up about your loved one being in a domestic violence situation, just understand that it's way easier to help her not be in one from the beginning. It is way easier to prevent than it is to intervene. It's way easier to prevent on the front end than it is to intervene on the back end. But whichever place you find yourself, making sure that the women in your village know that the village is there for support and understanding and assistance is going to be the key to providing the assistance and the resources that are needed in order to help your loved one remove herself from a domestic violence situation.